Welcome back everyone, and thanks so much for watching. We're actually on to what I hope is the last video of this white 2000 Sportster. It's actually a really good bike. We've got it running very well right now, and now we're just kind of moving on to the cleanup phase. But let's kind of dive into it a little bit and just kind of show you what I mean by cleaning this thing up. In this bike up, really it's just kind of removing some things that allows us to kind of do a, I don't want to call it a restoration because it's not that. This bike is way too nice to call it that. But just kind of fixing some of the areas that are, in my opinion, are kind of not so good on the eyes, let's put it that way. And it also allows us to really get in and do kind of a deep clean on it. I've been calling this bike the Forgotten Sportster simply because it wasn't in a barn or a shed or anything like that. I just think it was, like I said in the first video, the original owner, I think he passed away and it just kind of sat in his garage for a while. And it's until, I think it was an estate sale, it just never got moved. So, and it's kind of reflective of the things we had to replace in the carburetor and so forth. But what we're going to be doing, and I'll just kind of set this up so you guys can watch. But of course, yes, there's a million miles of chrome on this bike. You can't hide from the reflection on this sucker. But what we're going to be doing is really basic stuff. We're going to remove like that bolt, for example, just stuff like that that's kind of an eyesore. We're going to remove these pegs because we want to get these mounts off of there, which I'm probably going to have to use the impact to get off, which is fine. We're going to paint those. I'm not going to remove this belt guard all the way just because the shocks are on there, and then also we've got 1,000 pounds of add-on chrome that I don't want to screw with. So we're just going to leave that there, but that's good enough that we can clean it up. Well, the rack is just, that's going in the trash because it's bent for some reason. We'll do the same over here. But one thing we do want to do, here walking in circles, get myself dizzy and fall over, is this, whatever you call these, hey, it's on the hub. We'll just call it a hubcap. How's that? We're going to remove that cap and just paint it along with those mounts for those pegs just because that just looks bad. And also this wheel, the guy that had it before said he tried to use some kind of a cleaner on it. He got it kind of stuck on the wheel. It's hard to see on this camera, but that'll give me the opportunity to just kind of get in there and clean it up. And I'll just kind of polish it a little bit while I'm at it, make this thing shine. This bike, just in case you're wondering, I think I mentioned in the beginning, we spent $2,400 on. And we are flipping it. We are going to try and sell. It's only got 6,500 miles, and it runs. I mean, I've got to say, I've been on a lot of different Sportsters, old Evos, twin cams, etc. This is one of the best running bikes I've been on as far as starting and warming up. It did have one little hesitation in the carburetor when I was going around the neighborhood, but there's no tag on it, and I didn't even get it up to full operating temperature. So you can't even get onto the bike about that. And also, it's got the gas that it came in it, so there's no telling how old that gas is. But let's get started. We're going to start removing things, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But we are going to replace on this just old stuff like that, folks. It's amazing how far it goes. Good grief, why is that so tight? Somebody really didn't want their foot peg to come off. The bolt came right out though. Peg came right off. We get down here on the ground. I need to get the jack. Oh, there we go. Sorry. I need to get the jack under here, but that pipe is like, it's so, like the front, I'll be fine because I'll get it on that little, whatever that tab is you call it on the frame. But I'm just afraid because that's not a heat shield. That's actually we'll call it quote unquote a muffler section on the back that unbolts. So I can remove this heat shield and that section, which means I got to lift that up as well. Ugh. But I do not want to crack anything because that would really, really, really not be good. And I want to definitely take that wheel off. So let's get to work on that. Now, I've said this before, guys. You can see me. I'm in here on the floor. You just proof you can do this stuff anywhere. And I'm not going to knock anybody that's got a lift because I myself would love to get a lift. So I'm not going to sit there and say that and then turn around and get one in 3 months. But oh no. Oh. So that's neat. Maybe I should have looked first. So I removed this because I'm just used to factory setups. But there's actually, that's a bracket that's with Vance and Hines that has two, if you can see my fingers, bolts right there and right there that I can remove And I didn't even have to loosen my master cylindre. We're learning together, folks. We're learning together. All right, now what? Oh yeah, there we go. So we had success. Something really, really tells me that I'm going to regret taking that off like that later. But I like to do things the difficult way, obviously, so that's fine. Get this up on this jack here. And here it lock in. Now we can get these wheels off and just get these mounts off. I know that was a lot of work to get that pipe off just for that, but we can also clean up under this frame rail really good once we get it back on the ground. I'll actually roll it out and clean it like that. And then one thing I did notice is this thing is caked on with grease or just oil underneath it. And I don't think there's an oil leak, but I do remember the primary plug when I took it out had RTV instead of the O-ring on it, which I get it if you're in a pinch, but I think that was leaking. So it was probably just running down behind it, but didn't notice as much on the front. So that's probably what it is. But I will say after we changed took the primary off and all that, that there's absolutely zero leaks as well as the carb. So that's good. But let's get these peg mounts off as well as this front wheel, and we will be in good shape to start hosing her down. So first I'm going to remove this caliper. I know you really don't have to on this single disc like this, but it sure makes putting the wheel back in a heck of a lot easier. And for this I am going to use impact because, well, I can. Because it makes life a lot easier. Little rubber malletage or dead blow plastic in right here. Just watch all your spacers and washers and all that good stuff. There she is. Oh, don't tell me I'm going to have to remove this fender. Do not even tell me that. Oh. Okay. Well, looks like I got to remove the fender because that tis now stuck. You know, if I actually paid attention to stuff that's written in manuals and stuff like that, that probably wouldn't have happened. Look, on the bright side, I can clean the crap out of these tubes. There. Beautiful. Now, as I was saying, just remove the wheel. There we go. Is this necessary? No, it's not necessary. But is it good to really just try to make them look as new as you possibly can and get rid of some of these blemishes? Yeah. And it lets you get to know your motorcycle a little bit better. Like, you know, for example, you got to take the dang fender off first. All right, let's get this sucker off. And by the way, you're not supposed to use a chrome socket on an impact, but, you know, there's a lot of things I'm not supposed to do. See? Look at that. We can probably just flip it over. Look at that. Probably don't need to paint it. Well, dang. There we go. Done. Got some there on the edge, but nah, we'll paint it. Just makes it look better. You think about it. I mean, it's all rusty, and yeah, we could replace it, but let's just paint it up, put it on there. It'll be good. In case some of you may be wondering, if you don't know much about these bikes, why in the world would this even be here? There are plenty of bikes that run dual front discs instead of the one single disc for brakes. So that way you have two 4-piston calipers. I think Dyna Superglides might have ran that. I don't know. I can't remember, but that would be why. So you can use the same wheel. But all that is just a flat, cheapo cover. Now, unfortunately for this, I do not have long Allen sockets. And yes, I already loosened that because I didn't even think I was going to be able to, but we will have to hammer the other one. But that's a shame. I need to get to Hobo Freight. I need to get some long Do they make long Allen head sockets that are ball end? That would be freaking awesome. That's what I need. Need a lot of things, don't I? Whew. She rough. All right, work with me. There we go. Guys, that's going to do it for today. We're going to definitely move on to the outdoor cleaning part of this bike next. Some things didn't go to plan. That's always going to happen when you're out here. You get in, it's like that pipe. I took that exhaust pipe off and it beat me up. But you know what? We got it off. We're fine. The wheel, the fender, that was my miss completely. But so what? Whatever. We got it. We got it removed. Didn't get the sissy bar completely removed, but that's fine. I didn't want to try to remove any more parts just for that. But definitely wanted to get that front wheel off to get that little hub cover thing, whatever, and clean it up. But we will move on to that portion later. We're going to wrap it up for the day, but I will catch you guys shortly. We got the bike out here, and we're going to do the quick wash down or just spray off, really, all we're going to do on this one. Yeah, as I've called out, this bike is not in horrific shape, but we are going to get, especially in these little, call them nooks and crannies down here around the swing arm shocks, underneath the, over there underneath the oil tank, and down the bottom, and of course the motor and all that. Cleaning the paint's going to work out very well on this bike, but this is a start. So we're going to get this thing sprayed down, and of course my cleaner of choice is always the complicated green. If you guys have other ideas for cheap cleaners that work just as good, put them in the comments. Love to learn. I know there's a lot of things people swear by. I've just personally never tried anything but that, so maybe there's better options. But anyway, let's get to cleaning this thing up. Well, we got it sprayed off and dried off. I guess you could sort of call it washed. But we were just trying to get some of the heavy grime and all that. You can see down in here we got, it looks better. It looks better. I'm not going to lie. I didn't make a huge impact to it, but the big impact's going to be all the scrubbing and everything. Because some stuff just doesn't come off with just a water hose. I don't know. I think it looks better. But so now we're going to get to basically getting on our hands and knees and scrubbing all along the frame, the bottom. We're going to get, well, we can't get all of the frame until we get, the wheel back on. Hopefully we'll get that back on later today. Then we can get down underneath. But we'll just go ahead and start on some of these areas that we can actually get to, and then we will just kind of update you guys as we go, as we get towards the end. I'm not going to obviously film all the cleaning part because that would be extremely boring, but you get the idea. Well, we have made some excellent progress. I'm actually extremely pleased how this bike is cleaning up. I want to just kind of show everyone kind of some updates of where we are and what we've done. You can see where we've really just cleaned the frame area, and that includes, I'll just kind of kneel down here, that includes the swing arm. We will get the rest of the bottom. You know what I mean. We'll get the rest of the frame there on the bottom once we get this bike off the jack. And we've gotten the down tubes, and as much as the backbone, we did not remove the gas tank simply because it didn't need to come off, and it kind of breaks, that would break my rule of if it doesn't need to come off, don't remove it, because you're just asking for problems. But a few things, like you can see that bolt was replaced. We got this foot peg mount back on. We've got almost all the surface rust off the back of this pulley cover, so it's coming along fantastic. We still need to get that pipe on. We're going to be lowering it here in just a moment. I'll be able to do that. But then I got the wheel back on. You can see this little, we'll just call it the hubcap. How creative, right? got that little cap on. And yeah, it was rattle can, and it probably won't last a long time, but you know what? It looks great, and it's going to give some use. And anywhere there's polished areas, we polish that up with some aluminum polish. So coming along great, I must say. I must say. We were able to clean up all around the sissy bar good, even though I did not remove that. And everything else just looks good. Oh, and then there's one other thing I wanted to point out too. So as a for example, so when you're looking at this top clamp, you can see clearly there's different bolts in here. So these are just some of the details that I get into when I'm working on these. And we'll do the same with these switch housings in there. You can see where those are. You can see that bottom bolt is a rusted, nasty looking bolt. That's actually some original ones off an old bike I had. I'm just popping them in there, but you can go find some Allen heads and put in there as well, just to clean it up. But the same thing here. So these are grade 8. They're actually Harley bolts that I put in there that I had. And I'm just replacing these old tired chrome ones that are rusted with that. It just gives it a much better, when you look right down at the bars, the first thing you see is cleanliness. Now, be careful on these. Be careful in certain situations when you replace fasteners, because you could easily go to the hardware store and get some, but make sure they're the right grade. Those are grade 8. Those are, I guess if you want to call it, official Harley-Davidson, but they are made for that. So just be careful what you put in there. Some things like these switch housings, I would put the cheapest of the cheap. Stainless, I wouldn't care. It would be fine. But just, make sure you've got the right fastener for the application, especially when it's a safety thing like that. But that's kind of what we're doing, guys. We're going all over this bike, and it has just come along great. It is looking good. It's charging like it's supposed to. It's running like it's supposed to. And now it's just going to be as spotless as possible. But we will get you some more updates once we get it down on the ground and get everything done. And we'll do a full walk around as well as kind of look at underneath. So we are pretty much done with this bike. It has turned out extremely well. Not bad for 24 years old at all. One thing we did notice last night that's kind of a bummer, it's disappointing, but it happens, is the turn signals, which I'm not overly concerned about personally, but I know a new owner may be, are kind of intermittent, and I have narrowed it down to the turn signal module that's under the seat. It's literally a quick, simple little plug and play, and they make aftermarket ones that work just fine. Those things are about anywhere from 60 to 70 bucks, and then when you get into the factory stuff, it gets way more than that. I don't know if I'm going to replace on that or not. It's just such a simple item for somebody to replace, but I hate it. But, full disclosure, guys, these things happen. I mean, this bike is old, and, any kind of module or sensor or anything like that on a vehicle is just, with age, it's just going to get to it. But that's fine. We're not going to let that get us down, because this bike is in still great shape. We are going to take it for a quick little ride, and then we will wrap the video up after that. Unfortunately, I cannot take the camera with me. I don't have a setup yet to be able to do that, but we'll give you kind of a walk around when done. But it has just turned out great. You can see here, handlebar area is all cleaned up. No more rust on the bolts on that area. We cleaned up this sissy bar that was all messed up, got rid of that bracket on the back that was bent. You can see this is all very well cleaned up. Yeah, not bad. 6,500 miles. This bike's got a lot of life left in it. I mean, even the, getting in the details of like the swing arm, I know I've called it out and everything, but you can just see where it's cleaned up and polished. Gotta love it. But here is my favorite part about this bike. So it has been sitting, and granted, it's been a few days. You can see it's cold. It's been a few days since it has ran. And it's warm out, but still, I still love this part right here. This gigantic choke handle. That's crazy. We'll give it 1 for good measure. Look at that. Fires right up. All right, we're going to go for a ride, and we'll catch you guys in a moment. Well, we have another successful ride. Of course, I figured it would. I've already test drove it multiple times, but this bike is ready to go to a new owner. Let's see how it fires up here real quick. A little warm start here. Not bad. I only drove it around the block. It's not even fully warmed up, but Man, some Heinz sound good on these Sportsters. Something to remember. I'm normally not one to put much money into exhaust pipes, but those are not too bad, I got to admit. But guys, we're going to wrap it up here with this series on this bike. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But it has definitely been a pretty easy project for us. Wasn't too much wrong with it, so it sure is nice. But I appreciate you guys. Well, guys, like I just said, it's going to wrap it up on this bike. I hope you really enjoyed it. It was a pretty easy project for us. I like ones like this where it's, you know, it's going to be a good outcome as you start getting into it. There just wasn't really a whole lot wrong with it, but we cleaned it up really good. We got it back on the road, and I think it's going to give somebody many years of some fun riding. Kind of hate to see it go myself. I'm not a big Sportster guy, but I could see myself riding this one. It's a pretty fun bike, but we got a few more projects lined up. Hopefully that'll be getting on the channel soon. So please like and subscribe if you can and see those coming up. But we will talk to you guys next time.